Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and today Australia is under a double cyclone threat. We have a tropical cyclone developing off the West Australian coastline, which we are looking at zoomed in right now on the satellite imagery, and also a system over on the Gulf of Carpentaria Northern Territory coastline, which we're zooming in on right now. And they're both looking very decent. They both look like forming tropical lows at this point. The West Australian system is closer to being classified as a fully fledged tropical cyclone as per the Bureau of Meteorology's classification. But I reckon the Northern Territory one might just swoop in just before that system gets named and picks up the next name on the Australian naming list, which is Megan. This system is actually a Queensland cyclone threat as well, so we'll be talking about that first, and then later on in the video we'll talk about the West Australian system. If you are brand new to the channel, then please consider subscribing and also leave a like on the video while you're at it, and click the join button down below to get access to some sweet perks. More on that later on in the video. So taking a look at this system right now, we're going to start things off with wind observations. You can see already gale force winds on the northern side of the system, 76 kilometers an hour. This is a tropical cyclone as per maximum wind speed. So I'm very surprised that this actually hasn't picked up a name as per the Bureau of Meteorology classifications, because we are looking at tropical cyclone wind speeds up in the northern side of this system. The reason why it probably hasn't gotten classified as a tropical cyclone is because it doesn't have gale force winds around 3/4 of the tropical cyclone, which is the Bureau of Meteorology's rule to classify systems as tropical cyclones. However, that's likely to be obtained later today. This system has intensified faster than what we initially thought. It is likely very close to becoming a tropical cyclone. I think the Bureau of Meteorology is at least 12 to 24 hours behind on the system's forecast, and I'm surprised that they haven't issued warnings or watches out for this system yet already, apart from a severe weather warning for parts of the Northern Territory. But this system is likely going to become a tropical cyclone very shortly, and it will likely actually become a Category 2 tropical cyclone, a meaningful tropical cyclone in terms of intensity for the Northern Territory Queensland area, where it will be making landfall on what could be around Robinson River or Borroloola. I believe that's near Central Island on Sunday, probably in Sunday evening sort of time frame, as what could be a strong tropical cyclone. Not quite a severe tropical cyclone, but getting up there towards severe tropical cyclone status. And the forecast models have actually been trending upwards in terms of maximum wind speeds over the past 72 hours. So there is a chance this system actually does get stronger than what these forecast models are suggesting. Right now, I'm going conservative and calling for this system to peak out as a Category 1 or Category 2 strength system and making landfall Sunday evening on the Northern Territory Queensland border, or within about 100 kilometres either side of that, which means areas between Nullarbor through to Groote Island, excluding parts of the Arnhem Land sort of coastline on the Gulf of Carpentaria, but definitely down towards, I believe this is Port Roper down here, extending from Port Roper towards the Northern Territory Queensland border, and then from the Northern Territory Queensland border up towards Arakan, including the Mornington Island and the islands around it. They are at a high risk of receiving cyclone force winds, and in fact areas around the landfall site should probably be preparing for a severe tropical cyclone landfall Sunday evening or Monday morning, which would happen between Centre Island towards Mornington Island. It's a very, very remote part of Australia, but it isn't expecting we're not expecting this to wobble extremely far towards the east or the west, which means that the landfall site is fairly well locked in around the Northern Territory Queensland border at this time. Now, how is this a threat to Queensland? Well, we should be talking about rainfall that this is going to be causing around the Cairns sort of area, especially Sunday. I've been mentioning for the past couple of days that Saturday and Sunday are going to be very wet for Queensland or far northern Queensland, especially around the Cairns and Innisfail area, and then up in the Cape York Peninsula. Now, as this tropical cyclone develops, it's going to create this huge inflow system of thunderstorm activity across the Cape York Peninsula. There'll be a lot of convective activity, and you can already see that convective activity starting to fire up here along the monsoon trough, which, if you follow the cursor, I need to find a way to make this cursor larger for these videos, extends from the southern side of this tropical low up towards this batch of thunderstorms in the Solomon Sea, and that's where the monsoon trough is going to be developing, and a lot of thunderstorm activity can be expected to fire up on the Cape York Peninsula as a result of that developing, and that is reciprocated on the rainfall forecast. It's going to be a dry day around Cairns, but as we start to get into the evening hours, the rainfall will certainly start to pick up there, and from Saturday mid-afternoon into early evening, a lot of rainfall will start to materialise around that Cairns area, especially through Sunday. We expect a very wet day on Sunday, probably up towards 50 or 80 millimetres around Cairns, and then 150 to maybe 250 millimetres around Innisfail, Tully, Babinda, and down towards Lucinda as well. and this rainfall will continue into Monday and then probably into Tuesday as well, easing off Tuesday morning, but still sticking around in these light to moderate falls throughout Tuesday and Wednesday, and maybe even moderate to heavy falls Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then by next weekend it's slowly easing off there. Now, total rainfall accumulation over the next 24 hours, not going to be anything extreme today. Maybe 5 to 10 millimeters will be the wettest spots around the Cairns area, but up in the Cape York Peninsula, expect up to 25 to 50 millimeters from this moderate to heavy rainfall that's going to be falling up there. Over the next 3 days, you'd be expecting rainfall accumulations up towards 100 millimeters, and then over the next 5 days, they do start to jump up. You're talking 250 millimeters plus, especially south of Cairns. And then I believe next week's rainfall, which is still very uncertain in terms of how much is expected, we could be seeing up towards 800 millimeters around the Cairns, Innisfail and Belendid sort of area. Yeah, approaching a metre of rainfall there. Still though, that's very uncertain, and I'm not going to be commenting on that until I get a consistent forecast regarding that rainfall, but that would be Wednesday onwards. The takeaway from this is Saturday, Sunday and Monday this week, expect up towards 150 millimeters around Cairns from the moderate to heavy rainfall showers with intermittent sunlight that we have been seeing for the last couple of days there. And also some significant rainfall expected from the passage of this tropical low or tropical cyclone as it makes landfall, probably up towards 500 to 600 millimeters in the wettest of locations. In fact, 700 millimeters by the looks of things on the landfall site. The axis is really upplaying the rainfall here. It's generally an unreliable model to look at for rainfall, but to give you an idea of the maximum potential rainfall, probably 1500 millimeters, because it will be a slow moving and very wet tropical low. It'll have a lot of thunderstorm and convection activity. We'll have to be watching this system very closely, that's for sure. It could rapidly intensify in the Gulf of Carpentaria. In fact, it already looks like it is starting to do that, with some pretty significant wind gusts that have caught me very much off guard in the creation of this video. You're talking 76 kilometers an hour. That's nothing to be messing around with. So if you do live up around Nullarbor or Cape Wessell and you're watching this video, then please let me know what wind speeds you are receiving up there, because I'm very interested to see how accurate those weather observations are. I presume they are accurate though. I'm going to jump over to Western Australia now and take a look at the forming tropical cyclone there. The Bureau of Meteorology expect it to be named later tomorrow night, and it's expected to peak as a Category 2 strength tropical cyclone. And you can see it's already holding its own in what could be some fairly unfavourable conditions. It has a lot of thunderstorm activity around its centre of circulation right now, and it is spinning itself up quite nicely by the looks of things. Again, going to have to be a system that we keep a very close eye on. It is expected to move towards Port Hedland and Karratha. We will likely pass quite close to the coastline. We could be seeing some cyclone winds extend over Port Hedland and Karratha. Nothing too extreme, but still certainly the risk of some cyclonic wind conditions down there. The forecast model's not on board with this being named until probably Saturday morning or Saturday evening, so yeah, tomorrow evening probably by the latest, and it's going to be really slow moving over the next 48 hours by the looks of things as well, not fully getting its act together until about Monday or Tuesday, when it will likely intensify just a little bit more before heading way out to sea and not being a worry to Western Australia at all. It could actually get quite strong by the looks of things. The Axis G3 model has been saying that it's going to be getting quite strong out to sea for quite a few days at this point, but the Eastern Rift has just suddenly jumped on board with it, and the Axis G3, which is what we're looking at right now, not expecting this system to get strong at all anymore, and in fact not really expecting it to be an Australian cyclone threat either. Same with the Eastern RBF model, but for areas between Karratha and Exmouth, definitely watch the radar imagery and also the forecast very closely indeed, because there is a chance that you do get some brief heavy rainfall and also some wind gusts associated with the passage of this tropical low. The Eastern RBF model expecting up towards 50 millimeters, so the wettest of locations between Port Hedland and Coral Bay. And that's definitely a plausible forecast as well, and that would come with some pretty gnarly wind gusts as well. You're talking wind gusts up towards 90 kilometers an hour, so I wouldn't be surprised if a severe weather warning is issued between Karratha and Exmouth. In short, I'm not expecting tropical cyclone warnings to be raised here, and there's no real threat of a tropical cyclone moving through, but just expect some severe thunderstorms with some damaging winds as a worst case scenario there. And then up towards the Northern Territory and the Queensland area, if I haven't said already, for locations between Cape Wessell to Groote Island, and then from Port Roper across to Arakan, including Mornington Island and Groote Island. Expect tropical cyclone conditions. And around a landfall site between Centre Island and Mornington Island, including Centre Island, expect a severe tropical cyclone to make landfall. So if you live around Robinson River, then it's probably time to start preparing for a Category 2 or 3 strength severe tropical cyclone to be making landfall by running your cyclone preparations, sandbagging if necessary, getting your proper cyclone supplies, enough canned food to last probably a month up here, because the amount of rainfall that can be expected, you're likely going to be cut off for an extended period of time. There's also a chance that internet services will be lost for the duration of this tropical cyclone, so also make sure you've got your working radio in proper working condition. Check your Shire office as well, they'll have much more information than what I have on how to prepare for a tropical cyclone, and also get your livestock in a situation where they're not going to be harmed from either falling trees or some very significant wind gusts and rainfall, because peak wind gusts from this system could be up towards 150 kilometers an hour, and in fact even stronger in some places, 150 up towards 175. The Axis G3 really upplaying things for sure as well. They're expecting peak wind gusts over the next, I believe, 3 days. I really don't like wind accumulation on the Axis G3 model. On landfall, probably going to be looking at around 175 to 180 kilometers an hour. So prepare for this sort of wind speeds. It's likely not going to happen to the degree that the forecast models are saying, but being prepared is much better than being unprepared for this situation as well. And then for residents around the Cairns, Innisfail, Tully, Cardwell, Lucinda, and down towards Townsville area, and inland towards Atherton and Ravenshoe, and then up towards the Daintree Rainforest and Wudgell and Cooktown, expect some very significant rainfall totals as well, especially next week. I know the rainfall forecast for next week is uncertain at this time, but it does look like there is going to be quite a lot of rainfall coming ashore there, so make sure you are prepared for that, and being prepared to be flooded in, because there could be enough rainfall to cause some significant flooding around that area, that's for sure, and it's something that we're going to have to watch very closely on the forecast. That basically does it for this weather forecast, March 15th, 2024. Gee, we're really getting through the year, aren't we? If you haven't already, then please consider subscribing, and also leave a like on the video while you're at it. A very special shout out to the channel sponsors on screen right now. You guys are helping to pay for the software, the editing software, and so forth that's used to make these videos, so thank you so much for your ongoing and consistent support. Leave a comment as well. I'm going to try and get through all of them today. I know I haven't done that for a couple of days, but if you've got any questions or comments, then please do leave them in the comment section down below. And I thank you so much for your company this morning. Have a great Friday, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.